Hello, my name is Joseph. Joseph Mejia. Mejia is uh, my surname. I mean my apellido in Spanish. And I'm going to make a video about atoms, because I'm not sure if atoms exist, or better said, or a better way to say it is like I'm not sure if everything is made of atoms. And I'm tired of this bullshit, because I have asked many people on Reddit if everything is made of atoms, right? And they claim that they are made of atoms, that everything is made of atoms. But I think it's illogical that everything is made of atoms. For example, a metal spoon or a stainless steel spoon. I think it's illogical that it is made of atoms, but I'm not sure. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, it could be made of atoms 100%. But the reason that I think it's illogical is because in the spoon I see something simple, or something simple without cells, just as it looks like the metal spoon, the material. For example, if subsequently um, I question myself if the metal spoon is made of atoms or not. For example, I think it's illogical because, for example, the definition of being made of atoms is that, for example, in the metal spoon, is to be made of atoms by just rubbing them to each other without much effort. Without much effort, I mean, easily by rubbing them each other easily, and without melting the atoms, right? And that's why I think it's illogical. And for example, one thing that I'm thinking about it recently, a few minutes ago, to say to explain you how when I mean recently, a few hours ago, minutes, is that maybe I could be wrong, because, for example, I haven't made any experiment, right, about whether a metal spoon is made of atoms. I mean, what I have done is just a theoretical thing, right? And for example, I'm investigating whether things are made of atoms, because I want to know how the computer works, how the laptop works. But even if a metal spoon was made of atoms, I'm not sure whether I could explain how a computer works, right? Because because uh, because I don't know how so much information, like be honest, I don't know if, because I think there is a little bit of confusion in the translations of some quantities from Spanish to English or English to Spanish. For example, the word billones mean it could be something different in English, right? And I don't remember. I need to share the meaning of that word, right? But the case is that it is billones in Spanish, not billions, because I'm not sure if billones in Spanish means billions in English, right? Or it means another word, and vice versa. I don't know if billions means billones in Spanish, right? And I'm tired of this bullshit. For example, another thing that I'm thinking is that maybe it is something invented, maybe, but it's just a theory. I mean, I could be wrong that maybe things are made of atoms because, for example, because people believe it, right? Maybe it's wrong. Maybe I'm insane. I'm wrong about it. But I don't know what to think about it, because I don't know what to think about it because I can explain it, right? I mean, I can explain how metal spoon is made of atoms because the spoon is solid, right? And because it's illogical. I mean, if you think about it, but I could be wrong. I mean, the spoon could be 100% made of atoms. And another thing that I was thinking is that, for example, maybe things are partially made of atoms, right? Not completely made of atoms, partially, like 50% made of atoms and 50% made of matter without atoms. That is another theory, right? But I'm not sure if it is true or not. Maybe I'm wrong too, because people are claiming that everything is made of atoms, but I don't understand it. I mean, and I'm not sure that that it is true because people believe in it. Because, for example, I have denied the existence of atoms, or the fact the claim that metal spoon is made of atoms, or that everything is made of atoms. And for example, for in like trying to make the like an experiment, right? For example, trying to see if it is true or not. Like, let me reshare something. Well, I googled the translation of the cretar from Spanish to English. How to say the cretar in English from Spanish to English, and I'm not sure if that is correct, right? Um, what that means is that everything that things are made of atoms, not because it is true, but because people believe it. But I'm not sure if it is true that thing that is true because people believe it, that science manipulated things, or that it has something to do, right? And for example, I mean, it could be true, but the problem is that I don't see an explanation, right? I mean, I have asked people about the explanation of, for example, the explanation, right? About, for example, how metal spoon is made of atoms. And for example, I was thinking, just by doing in this video, right now, when a few seconds ago, that maybe I shouldn't care if, for example, if it is true or not. Maybe I should reshare what science says about atoms. For example, well, I think it's illogical that the metal spoon is made of atoms, or that everything is made of atoms, right? Maybe it could be logical that things are partially made of atoms and partially made of matter without atoms. And for example, um, I don't remember what I wanted to say. Uh, what I wanted to say, for example, maybe I should move on. For example, like researching. For example, what size do atoms have according to science? Because they say they are very small, right? And maybe I can explain the computer by just knowing the size of atoms, for example, right? For example, how everything is made of atoms, and how I need to do something there. For example, and science says that atoms are super small, right? I don't know what size, but they say that they are very small. But for example, I think that there is a inconsistency because first of all, it hasn't been explained how a metal spoon is made of atoms or how things are made of atoms or how a metal spoon is made of atoms. And they already say that atoms are very small, right? And so, I mean, it hasn't explained how a metal spoon is made of atoms, and science already says that atoms have certain size, right? I mean, in my opinion, because I don't know, I could be wrong. I don't know about the subject, and it sounds again as if it was invented, like as if it wasn't truth, but that it is true because people believe in it, right? And for example, I mean, because when I started to think about atoms or things being made of atoms, I started by imagining big atoms, right? Like little balls of matter of the object. For example, in a metal spoon, I see something simple or something simple without cells, just as it looks like, right? And for example, when I started thinking, I thought about big atoms, but not like not super big atoms, not very big atoms. I mean, for example, like 1 millimeter of size, right? Or a little bit smaller. I mean, small, but not as small as science says they are, right? And for example, I could investigate how are atoms like? What are atoms like? Sorry, I mean, and for example, what size do they have, right? And so then that way I could have an idea of how, for example, a computer works. For example, I can ask people already, for example, how information is stored on the laptop on the hard drive. Um, this way, if atoms are of certain size, right? And maybe, for example, if atoms are so small, maybe the information is stored in a group of atoms. Even if hard drives have so many bits, I mean zeros and ones, or ones, zeros or ones. And for example, I could be wrong because maybe I don't know, because I I used to not believe in cells because I don't see them. I don't see them with the naked eye. I don't perceive them. For example, I believe in the soul, so that is why I used to not believe in cells. But maybe I'm realizing that maybe cells exist because I investigate something about it, but I can't say anything about it because I don't have money, right? So, for example, for example, maybe cells exist, and for example, the definition of cells. For example, I defined it, for example, as it were like robots or like robots made of cells, right? As if the soul doesn't exist, as if cells contradict the soul, right? That is the definition I had. For For example, many years ago when I was a little kid, right? Maybe when I was like 7 years old or like 10 years old or something like that. When I was on elementary school or primary school, because we call elementary school, we call it like primary school. No, we call it primaria in Spanish in Mexico, right? And I'm a Mexican. And and um and for example, yes, maybe self school exists, but I'm still not sure because I still don't I haven't seen them yet. I still don't see them themselves. Um, but maybe they exist, and I'm not sure because that they exist because I need a soul to move my body, and so that is a contradiction, right? Or I don't know if there is a contradiction. And another thing is that yes, maybe I should share the size of atoms, and maybe that way I can have an idea of how so much information fits into a little hard drive, right? Or a little laptop, right? For example, the other laptop I have over here uh, it has a 500 gigabytes size or of storage, right? And for example, I think it's like 4 billions of bits, right? And for example, a byte it's like 8 bits, 8 zeros of ones. So I still I don't know how the computer works, right? It's very difficult for me. And for example, I have a story to tell, right, about many things that have happened to me. And I'm trying to work on them. For example, um, and for example, I don't know what to do. I mean, because I have many things to say. I mean, I have many things that happened to me, right? And I'm tired of this bullshit because I don't understand how a spoon can be made of atoms. I mean, if the spoon is solid and if it is illogical, and I have talked to many people on Reddit, and they had banned me on Reddit on many subreddits, and on many different subreddits, right? Subreddits on Reddit, right? And I'm a little annoyed by it because I haven't done anything wrong. I have just asked whether things are made to tattoos, and they claim they are made to tattoos, but they don't explain it, and they still ban me without reason, or at least in my perspective, because I could be wrong, or I could be the person who is doing. I mean, I could be doing something wrong, but I don't perceive it. I'm doing anything wrong, and I don't know what else to do, and I'm very depressed, and sometimes I wanna die or I wanna commit suicide. And for example, maybe I would like that people listen to me, or that they explain to me how a metal spoon is made to atoms, for example, because I think it's illogical, or that people should stop believing in that things are made to atoms, or that they are completely made to atoms. Maybe they should believe they are partially made to atoms or something like that. But I don't know. I mean, again, I'm going to say this same thing, that, for example, it sounds like that things are true, like that things are made to atoms, not because it's true, but because people believe in it. But again, I could be wrong. We will need to make an experiment on it, about on over it about it, right? Maybe I'm predicting that maybe I could be wrong. I mean, even if people don't believe that things are made to atoms, maybe things could still be made to atoms. But the problem is that I don't see an explanation, right? And I'm becoming crazy because there is no answer to it, right? And I don't know what to do, right? Because I wanna know that because I wanna know how the computer works, and because I wanna make good designs on Design Hill or freelancer.com, designhill.com because or freelancer.com because I have worked on those websites and I haven't earned any money because my designs are very bad and because things don't have a shape, right? So, and for example, people claim that the computers works with zeros and ones, but there is no explanation of how they work with zeros and one. I mean, because they only say that, but that's the only thing that they say mostly, and they don't give any explanation about it. Um, and yes, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe things are made to atoms, but it's very difficult to believe because there's no explanation. People haven't explained it. And for example, I asked my father. I asked him how about. I asked him for help about it, and he said the same thing that everything is made to atoms, but he doesn't explain it or he doesn't prove it. He didn't prove it, and I'm very angry about it. And he said the same thing, for example, about cells. He says that cells exist, and he says that the soul exists, and I think there is a contradiction, but I'm not sure. Maybe there is no contradiction, but I have that theory that it was a contradiction, and that is one of the reasons that why I didn't believe in cells, right? But maybe I was wrong, or maybe there is no contradiction between cells and the soul. Um, for example, and I asked him whether the soul move the body. I mean that people move the body or move the body like souls, or people move or move like souls. And he said that the soul uses the brain to move the body. That the soul doesn't move the body directly. Uh, and for example, it means that people move their bodies using the body, or move their bodies like souls using the. I mean, people move their bodies using their brains, or people move their bodies like souls using their brains, right? But he didn't explain me how he just said it, and he told me that I should investigate it. But he is the one that is making the claim, right? So I'm very angry about it, and I would like that people will explain me how a metal spoon is made of atoms, for example, so that I could have an idea of how everything is made of atoms, or how a computer works, because that is a claim. It needs an explanation. I mean, it can be said only like that, and it needs to be explained. And I think that is everything. I'm very annoyed because I think that if people cannot explain that something, I think that they shouldn't believe it, right? For example, in the case of atoms, I mean, if people can explain that a metal spoon is made of atoms, they should stop believing in it, even if it is true. I mean, or they can believe that it is partially made of atoms, right? But completely made of atoms or 100% made of atoms, I think it's illogical. But again, I could be wrong. But I'm very angry because nobody explained it. For example, and for example, And on Reddit, they have banned me many times for many subreddits in Reddit. Um, and for example, if you Google on the internet, it says the same thing that everything is made of atoms, but it doesn't explain anything. Okay, so I'm very annoyed, and I'm going to finish the video.